Hi, this is Michael Connors with the ICOSA Media Group, and I am in Colorado Springs for the Global New Energy Conference at the Broadmoor. I'm here with Hank Held, who is a principal investor in the Mount Princeton Geothermal Group and has a project south of Buena Vista, I believe. Hank, could you tell us a little bit more about the Mount Princeton Geothermal Group and the project in Buena Vista?
Surely, actually, it's a misnomer because it's not the Mount Princeton Geothermal Group limited to that. It's simply that's the name we picked up for the group is going forward. We're actually working at Poncha Springs also, which is about 27 miles away. And we continue to do some work at Juanita Hot Springs near Gunnison. So it really was just a location where we thought, and has since been proven to be probably the highest geothermal potential in the state of Colorado.
So can you tell us about the project itself and the implications for geothermal energy here moving forward?
Yes, actually this will be the first commercial geothermal power generation operation in the state of Colorado. And with it have gone about 5 years of paperwork and various negotiations, discussions, permitting, things like this. But we see geothermal as a base load power generation option, which is totally clean. It operates 24/7. And the way that we plan to integrate it into the existing power grid system in the Mount Princeton area can be done without any new transmission or new distribution lines, which has the benefit of not affecting any of the sites, the views down there. At the same time, it keeps the actual development costs much lower.
Okay. Now, you were on the panel for transmission. Do you see transmission becoming an issue moving forward?
Oh, yes, it will continue to be an issue. In fact, what we are proposing, our business model for our group, is distributed generation. And we're not talking about large geothermal plants. We're talking about 10 megawatt type operations, which would typically be for about 9,000 homes. So, for example, to put things in context, a 10 megawatt plant at Mount Princeton would probably serve the 3 counties in the immediate area. But what was the second part of the question?
Implications moving forward, challenges moving forward.
Okay, actually, the way that we're working it now, using the distributed generation, we can put the power into the grid using existing distribution lines. So one of the big concerns that they're talking about this conference are the huge power generation plants and how are they going to transmit that energy from one urban location to another. Ours is kind of the reverse of that. We know that there is existing and excess capacity in the distribution and transmission lines in the mountains, and so we will be utilizing those. The benefit of that is that it's a lot less expensive and it's immediately available.
Is the model that you're pursuing with your geothermal plants, how scalable is it?
It's eminently scalable, and by that I mean the typical geothermal plant would be built to order. It would be based on the size of the geothermal resource under the ground. Our model is based on multiples of 10 to 15 megawatt modules. So they're constructed off-site and brought in and installed very quickly. So it's a much faster type implementation. And it can be done in series. So we could conceivably put in 4 or 5 of these in series and achieve 50 megawatt, for example, which would be a pretty substantial size power plant.
Have you found the regulatory environment to be fairly favorable, or have there been a lot of challenges in regulations?
No, the regulatory environment is incredibly complex, complicated. There are conflicting priorities among the various interests involved. Right now, we're in the process of getting the necessary, what they call 1041 permits under Colorado law. And several years ago, the state of Colorado delegated certain development rights to oversee certain of the development rights to the individual counties, the thinking being that they had a better hand on the health and welfare and the ability to develop in a particular county than the state did. As a result, in Colorado, there are absolutely no guidelines for the development of geothermal. at all. The various counties have different interests, and so there's a patchwork that is evolving. There's no consistency. There are no guidelines. Everybody's flying blind. In the case of some of the politicians, they've frankly said that they're afraid to approve anything for fear of being sued until some sort of guidelines come out, either from the state or from the county itself.
And your project in particular, can you tell us how large the facility is, how many people are employed? What does the project look like?
Actually, once again, we're using the absolute latest technology, and as we speak right now, the power generation unit that we're talking about is being approved or certified in the unused Atlas missile silo in Oklahoma, an Air Force base in Oklahoma. And the actual surface footprint, once we get the plant installed, only requires a building. It is 3 meters wide by 3 meters wide by 10 meters tall. That's the only surface expression that would be seen in this power generating unit. Now, during the time they're drilling the wells, of course, you'd have some of the bigger rigs in there. But ultimately, what would be left would be a building which could blend in very easily with any of the other buildings in the Mount Princeton area. And so we think that through technology, we've either minimized or eliminated a lot of the concerns that the neighbors had originally had about this project.
So moving forward, do you think, do you see hope that the regulatory environment will improve as the power generation from geothermal becomes more prevalent?
Well, we're the very first in Colorado, and it's fortunate, I guess, in our case that we have 2 sites. And while one is in the unincorporated county, with all this uncertainty, we're looking at a second project near Salida, which is the Poncha Springs geothermal, and it's actually owned by the city. And there's a question now that they may have their own authority to issue the necessary permits and not have to go through the 1041 process. So to have the city actually owning the geothermal resource, which they would like to develop for the benefit of the community, I think will help speed things up and provide a model then possibly that some of the other counties could look at afterward.
Fantastic. Well, Hank, thank you very much for talking with us. We appreciate it. This is Mike Connors with ICOSA Media at the Global New Energy Summit in Colorado Springs. Thanks for watching.